When the doctor said I had 72 hours to live, my son Max squeezed my hand so tightly I thought he might break my fingers. Then he leaned down, his breath warm against my ear, and whispered, "Finally. In 3 days, the house and the money, all mine." He kissed my forehead like he used to when he was 7.
Like he loved me.
Then he smiled, stood up, and walked out of that hospital room whistling. But Max didn't know about the call I made 5 minutes after he left. He didn't know about Maria, my cleaning lady, standing in the doorway with tears streaming down her face. And he certainly didn't know about the flash drive hidden in my bra, the one containing 23 years of secrets that would burn his perfect little life to ashes. Some mothers die quietly. I wasn't going to be one of them. Hello, and welcome. My name is Violet Osborne. I'm 60 years old, and if you've ever given everything you had to someone who saw you as nothing more than an obstacle to their inheritance, this story is for you. I raised Max alone after his father died when Max was only 3. I worked 2 jobs, waitressing during the day, cleaning offices at night, so he could have piano lessons, soccer camps, and a college education I never got. I wore the same winter coat for 15 years, so he could have new sneakers every season. I ate toast for dinner, so he could have steak.
And in return?
He waited for me to die so he could cash in. But let me take you back to the beginning of this nightmare. Back to the moment everything I believed about my son shattered, like glass. It started 6 months ago with a routine checkup that turned into a biopsy, which turned into an oncologist's office with cream-colored walls and a box of tissues on every surface. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Inoperable. 6 months, maybe less. I didn't cry in that office. I cried in my car in the parking garage, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Then I drove home, made myself a cup of tea, and decided I wasn't going to waste whatever time I had left falling apart. Max lived 3 hours away in the city, working as some kind of financial consultant, the kind of job with a vague title that sounds impressive at dinner parties. He visited once a month, always on Sundays, always staying exactly 2 hours before claiming he had an early meeting Monday morning. But something changed after my diagnosis. Suddenly, Max was calling every day, texting every morning, showing up at my house unannounced with groceries I didn't need and concern that felt rehearsed. Like he'd practiced his worried son face in the mirror. "Mom, have you updated your will?" he asked one evening, standing in my kitchen, his hands in his pockets. "Max, I'm not dead yet. I know, I want to make sure everything's in order. For your peace of mind." His smile was gentle, caring, the kind of smile that should have warmed my heart. Instead, it made my stomach turn. But I pushed the feeling away. He was my son, my only child, the boy I'd sacrificed everything for.
Of course, he was just worried about me.
Over the next few months, Max's visits increased. He started bringing me pamphlets about hospice care, about end-of-life planning, about making sure my affairs were in order. He'd sit at my kitchen table with his laptop, pulling up websites about estate lawyers and asking if I'd like him to help manage things. "What things, Max?" "Just, the house, your accounts, making sure everything transfers smoothly when the time comes." When the time comes. Not if.
When.
But the worst part wasn't his transparency about wanting my money. The worst part was how he'd wrap every greedy question in a blanket of fake concern, like I was too sick or too stupid to see through it. Maria saw it, though. Maria Rodriguez had been cleaning my house every Tuesday and Friday for 7 years. She was 53, mother of 2, grandmother of 4, and the closest thing I had to a real friend. While Max counted down the days to my death, Maria brought me homemade tamales and sat with me during my bad days, holding my hand while I vomited from the chemo I'd insisted on trying. "Miss Violet," she said one afternoon, folding laundry in my bedroom while I lay exhausted on the bed, "I don't mean to speak out of turn, but your son, the way he looks at this house." She trailed off, her dark eyes worried. "I know," I whispered. "I know. But knowing and accepting are 2 different things, aren't they?" Because accepting meant admitting that the child I'd devoted my entire life to saw me as nothing more than an ATM machine with a death countdown. The first real crack appeared 3 weeks before I ended up in the hospital. Max showed up on a Wednesday, unusual, since he only came on weekends. He had a manila folder tucked under his arm and that practice smile plastered on his face. Mom, I've been thinking, what if we moved you into one of those nice assisted living facilities? You'd have nurses around the clock, people to talk to. You want to put me in a home? It's not a home, it's a luxury senior community. And then, he paused, pulled papers from the folder. Then we could sell this house. The market's really good right now. We could get almost $1 million for it, and that money could pay for your care and whatever's left goes to you. His smile flickered. Just for a second. Mom, that's not what this is about. Then what is it about, Max? He set the papers on the coffee table. Sign these. They give me power of attorney so I can handle the sale while you focus on getting better. I stared at those papers like they were a snake coiled on my furniture. I'm not signing anything.
His jaw tightened.
Mom, be reasonable. You're sick. You need someone to manage. Get out.
What?
I said get out of my house.
He left.
But the papers stayed on my coffee table, like a threat. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Max was my son.
My son.
The boy I'd rocked to sleep every night, the teenager I'd helped with homework, the man I'd cheered for at his college graduation. When had he become this? But then I remembered something. Something that made my blood run cold. 5 years ago, Max's father-in-law, a wealthy real estate developer, had died suddenly. Max's wife, Colleen, had been devastated. At the funeral, I watched Max comfort her, hold her, whisper reassurances. 2 weeks later, they'd bought a penthouse apartment in Manhattan.
Cash.
At the time, I'd assumed Colleen had inherited money from her father. But now, lying in my dark bedroom with cancer eating through my pancreas, I wondered, had Max done this before? The next morning, I called my lawyer. Not the one Max had been pestering me to use, his lawyer, but mine. Old Gerald Patterson, who'd handled my mortgage 30 years ago. Gerald, I need you to look into something for me. What he found made me wish I'd died 6 months ago before learning the truth. Max hadn't just been waiting for me to die. He'd been planning for it. He'd already contacted 3 real estate agents about listing my house. He'd accessed my bank accounts, somehow, and transferred $50,000 to a joint account for medical expenses that only he could access. He'd even filed preliminary paperwork to contest my will if I left anything to charity. My son was so confident I'd die soon that he'd already started spending my money. But the worst part? The part that made me vomit until I had nothing left? Gerald found emails. Max talking to Colleen about just a few more months, and once the old lady's gone, and we'll finally be able to afford the lake house. The old lady. That's what he called me. His mother. The woman who'd sacrificed everything. I was nothing but an obstacle. A countdown clock. A paycheck with a terminal diagnosis. That's when the pain started. Not the cancer pain, that was manageable with medication. This was different. Sharper. More aggressive. My doctor ordered immediate tests, and by Thursday afternoon, I was in the hospital with kidney failure and sepsis. Dying faster than anyone expected. And that's when Max came to visit, held my hand, and told me he was glad I'd be dead in 72 hours. Maria was in the hallway when he left. She'd come straight from work, still wearing her cleaning company polo, her eyes red from crying. She'd heard everything through the door. "Miss Violet," she whispered, rushing to my bedside. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I grabbed her hand. My voice was weak, barely a rasp, but I'd never meant anything more in my life. "Maria, I need your help. And if you help me, you'll never have to work another day in your life." Her eyes widened. "What do you need me to do?" I smiled. For the first time in 6 months, I smiled like I meant it. "I need you to help me teach my son what happens when you treat your dying mother like a bank account." Maria pulled her chair closer to my hospital bed, her hands trembling as she held mine. "Miss Violet, what are you talking about? You need to rest, you need to." "Listen to me carefully," I whispered, my voice gaining strength from pure rage. In my nightstand at home, bottom drawer, there's a leather journal. Brown, with a broken clasp. Inside that journal is everything. Everything. Everything Max has done. Every account he's accessed without permission. Every email he's sent planning my funeral before I'm dead. Bank statements. Forged signatures. Gerald, my lawyer, helped me document it all over the past 3 weeks. Maria's eyes went wide. Miss Violet, he could go to jail for this. Oh, he will. But not yet. I squeezed her hand. First, I need you to go to my house. Get that journal. Then go to the safety deposit box at First National. Here's the key. I pulled it from under my pillow, where I'd hidden it before Max arrived. Inside that box is my real will, the flash drive with copies of everything, and a cashier's check for $500,000. Maria gasped. 500, Miss Violet, I can't. You can and you will. That money is yours, Maria. But only if you help me do this right. Are you with me? But Maria hesitated, and I saw the war in her eyes. The woman was honest to her core, never took so much as an extra dollar when I overpaid her. The idea of deception, even against someone like Max, went against everything she believed. What exactly do you want me to do? She finally asked. I smiled. It probably looked ghoulish, a dying woman in a hospital bed grinning like a villain. But I didn't care anymore. I want you to play dead. What? Not you.
Me.
I want Max to think I died. Tonight. Here's what people don't know about hospitals. If you have the right connections and enough money, you can make almost anything happen. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had been my physician for 12 years. She'd held my hand through the cancer diagnosis, through every brutal chemo session, through the moment I broke down and told her what Max had said at my bedside. She'd also lost her own mother to a greedy sibling who'd manipulated their way into the inheritance. When I called her into my room that night and explained what I needed, she stared at me for a full 30 seconds. Violet, what you're asking me to do? I could lose my medical license. I'm not asking you to do anything illegal, Sarah. I'm just asking you to delay the paperwork. Make a phone call. Tell my son that his mother died peacefully in her sleep. And then what? And then we watch him reveal exactly who he is. Sarah pressed her lips together, thinking. Finally, she nodded. How long do you need? 72 hours. Poetic, don't you think? But there was a problem I hadn't anticipated. A problem that walked through my hospital door at 11 p.m., just as Maria was leaving with my instructions.
Colleen.
Max's wife. She stood in the doorway, perfectly styled as always. Blonde highlights, designer purse, that smile that never quite reached her eyes. Violet, I heard you'd taken a turn for the worse. My heart hammered. Had she overheard? Did she know? Hello, Colleen. I'm surprised to see you here. My voice came out weaker than I'd intended.
Good.
Let her think I was helpless. Well, Max is beside himself with worry. He asked me to check on you since he had that conference call he couldn't miss. She walked to my bedside, her heels clicking on the linoleum. He wanted me to ask if you'd reconsidered signing those power of attorney papers. Just to make things easier. For everyone. There it was. The real reason she'd come. They were tag-teaming me now, worried I might recover, might last longer than their patients.
I'm Betty. Colleen.
I think I have bigger concerns than paperwork. Her smile tightened. Of course. I just meant, look, Violet, I know you, and I have never been particularly close. But Max is stressed. This has been so hard on him, watching you suffer. If you could just sign the papers, it would give him peace of mind. Hard on him. Watching me suffer. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I did something better. You're right, I whispered. You're absolutely right. I've been selfish. Max deserves peace. Colleen's eyes lit up. So you'll sign? Tomorrow. Have him bring the papers tomorrow morning. I'll sign everything. She actually smiled. A real smile. Thank you, Violet. This means so much to Max. To both of us. After she left, I texted Maria. Change of plans. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Be ready. Max arrived at exactly 9 a.m. with a leather folder, a notary, and barely concealed excitement. "Mom, you're doing the right thing," he said, laying the papers on the hospital tray table. "This way everything will be taken care of. You won't have to worry about anything." I picked up the pen with a shaking hand, stared at the documents. Power of attorney, authority to sell property, access to all accounts. Basically, legal permission to strip me of everything I owned while I was still breathing. "Max, before I sign, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Mom. Anything." "Do you remember when you were 8 and you broke Mrs. Henderson's window playing baseball? You were so scared of getting in trouble." He shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, I'm not sure what that has to." I took the blame. Told her it was me, that I'd been trying to trim the hedges and lost control of the shears. Paid for the window out of my grocery money. "Do you remember what you said to me?" His jaw tightened. "Mom, you said, 'I love you more than anything in the world, Mom. I'll make it up to you someday.'" The notary looked uncomfortable. Max's face flushed. "Well," I said softly, setting down the pen, "I guess today is someday." But then something happened that I didn't expect. Something that made my blood run colder than any cancer diagnosis ever could. Max didn't get angry. He didn't argue. He didn't even look embarrassed. "I won't sign," I said quietly. His smile vanished. "Then I'll contest the will. I'll drag it through probate for years. I'll make sure every charity, every friend you wanted to leave something to gets nothing. Do you understand me? Nothing."
Max. No.
He stood up, grabbing the papers. "You had your chance to make this easy. Now I'll do it the hard way. And when you're gone, which will be very, very soon, I'll make sure everyone knows what a bitter, spiteful woman you were at the end." He walked out. The notary scurried after him, apologizing. I lay there, my heart monitor beeping faster, tears streaming down my face. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage. Because Maria had been standing in the hallway the entire time. And she'd recorded every single word on her phone. Dr. Mitchell came in 5 minutes later. "Violet, are you ready?" I wiped my eyes and nodded. "Make the call. Tell Max his mother died of a broken heart. And may God forgive me for what I was about to do." Dr. Mitchell made the call at 11:47 a.m. I couldn't hear Max's side of the conversation, but I watched Sarah's face as she delivered the news. Professional.
Somber. Perfect.
"Mr. Osborne, I'm so sorry to inform you that your mother passed away peacefully about 20 minutes ago. Her heart simply gave out. There was no pain. She went quietly." A pause. "Yes, I understand this is shocking. No, there was nothing we could have done. Her body was just too weak. I'm so very sorry for your loss." Another pause. Longer this time. "Of course. You can come say goodbye whenever you're ready. We'll keep her comfortable in the room until yes. Yes, I'll have the paperwork ready. Again, my deepest condolences." She hung up and looked at me. "He'll be here in 10 minutes. He was still in the parking garage. Still in the parking garage. He'd never even left the hospital. He'd been waiting, hovering like a vulture, ready for the moment I finally stopped being an obstacle. Get me out of here." Maria had brought clothes, black pants, a dark sweater, a hat that covered most of my face. I looked like I was going to a funeral. My own funeral, technically. Dr. Mitchell had arranged for a private room on the 3rd floor where I could watch everything through a security monitor. A nurse named Patricia, another woman who'd been burned by greedy family members, had volunteered to help. She'd seen it all working in hospitals for 30 years, she said. She'd be damned if she'd let another vulture pick clean the bones of someone who'd loved them. From my hiding spot, I watched Max enter my hospital room. He was alone.
No Colleen. No tears. No flowers.
He walked straight to the bed where a covered body lay, a mannequin Dr. Mitchell had borrowed from the medical training department, wrapped carefully to look convincing. Max stared at it for exactly 5 seconds. Then he pulled out his phone. "It's done," he said. "Yeah, she's gone. Finally." I couldn't hear who he was talking to, but I didn't need to. The smile on his face told me everything. No, I played it perfect. Looked devastated. Even managed to tear up a little. The doctor ate it up. Yeah, I know, I should have been an actor, right? He laughed. Actually laughed standing next to what he thought was his dead mother. But then something happened that made my stomach drop. A woman walked into the room. Not Colleen. Someone younger. Mid-30s, maybe. Dark hair, expensive coat, holding a leather briefcase. Max kissed her. Not a friendly kiss. A deep, possessive kiss that made Maria gasp beside me. Who is that? I whispered. Patricia leaned forward, squinting at the monitor. That's Amanda Pierce. She's a real estate agent. High-end properties. I've seen her around. She handles million-dollar listings. Max was cheating on Colleen, and he'd brought his mistress to my deathbed. The house is empty, Max was saying, his arm around Amanda's waist. Mom was paranoid about break-ins, so there's a top-of-the-line security system, but I know all the codes. We can go there tonight, start cataloging everything. You said you already have buyers interested, right? 3 bidders, Amanda purred. We could start a bidding war. Push the price to 1.2, maybe 1.3 million if we play it right. And the Coast House? We can close on it next month. Once this sells and the estate clears probate. Baby, we're going to be so happy. Baby.
He called her baby.
Standing 3 feet from his mother's body. Maria's hand found mine. Squeezed tight. Miss Violet, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to see that. But I wasn't sorry. Not anymore. Because now I knew the full picture. This wasn't just about money. It was about a whole new life Max had planned. A life that started the second mine ended. Max spent another 2 minutes in that room. He took photos of the medical equipment, probably for some insurance claim. He asked Patricia about death certificates and when he could access my safety deposit box. He never once touched the covered body. Never said goodbye. Then he left, Amanda clicking alongside him in her designer heels, both of them laughing about something as they headed to the elevator. I watched him go, and something inside me crystallized into pure, cold purpose. Patricia, I said quietly, I need you to call someone for me. That evening, Maria brought me to her house. It was small but warm, filled with photos of her grandchildren and the smell of cooking rice. I'd been to her home only once before, years ago, when she'd invited me for her daughter's quinceañera. You'll stay here, Maria insisted, setting me up in her son's old room. For as long as you need. The doctors say you have weeks, maybe months if you're lucky. We'll make sure you're comfortable.
Weeks.
Maybe months. Funny how 72 hours to live had been Dr. Mitchell's creative interpretation. I was dying, yes. But not nearly as fast as we'd let Max believe. I'd bought myself time. Time to watch what my son would do when he thought no one was watching. The answer came faster than I expected, but it was worse than anything I could have imagined. The next morning, Maria went to my house as planned. Max had changed all the locks already, but Maria had a key to the side entrance he didn't know about, the one that led through the mudroom. She found Max and Amanda inside, going through my belongings like pirates ransacking a ship. They'd throw my photo albums in a trash bag. My mother's china, carefully collected over decades, was in a box marked Donate. My jewelry box was open on the kitchen counter, Amanda holding up my wedding ring to the light, discussing whether they should sell it or have the diamond reset for her. This is depressing, Amanda said, wrinkling her nose at the living room. All this old lady furniture. The staging company is going to have a field day. Just bag everything personal, Max replied from upstairs. We'll have an estate sale for the rest. Some idiot will buy it for nostalgia value. Maria recorded it all. Every dismissive comment. Every casual cruelty. Every moment of my life being sorted into trash bags and donation boxes while I was supposedly lying in a morgue. But then Max found something that made him pause. My bedroom closet. Specifically, the false bottom I'd had installed 5 years ago. I watched later on Maria's phone as Max pried up the floorboard and pulled out a metal box. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a letter. One I'd written 3 weeks ago, knowing this moment would come. Max unfolded it, and I watched his face go white as he read. The letter said, "Dear Max, if you're reading this, it means I'm dead and you've already started dismantling my life. I want you to know that I know everything. I know about the money you stole. I know about your emails calling me the old lady. I know about Amanda. I know about Colleen's father. Yes, I know what really happened there too. And I've made sure that everyone else will know as well. Check your email. I sent you something special. Love, your devoted mother." Max grabbed his phone with shaking hands, pulled up his email, and there it was. A video file sent from a delayed delivery service, timestamped the moment of my supposed death. He pressed play. His own voice filled my bedroom, recorded from just that morning. "It's done. Yeah, she's gone. Finally." No, I played it perfect. Looked devastated, even managed to tear up a little. The video continued. Every vile word, every laugh, every moment with Amanda, everything Maria had recorded. And at the bottom of the email, a single line. "This video has been sent to Colleen, your employer, your father-in-law's estate lawyer, and the district attorney's office. You have 72 hours to make this right. The clock is ticking, son." Max's phone slipped from his hands and clattered to the floor. Amanda stared at him.
Max.
"What is it? What's wrong?" But Max couldn't speak. He just stood there in my bedroom, surrounded by the life he'd been so eager to erase, finally understanding what it meant to be haunted. Not by a ghost. By consequences. The calls started within an hour. First, Colleen. Maria's phone, the one I'd been using, lit up with a blocked number. I answered it on speaker. "Where is she?" Colleen's voice was raw, broken. "Where's the whore he's been screwing? Where's my husband?" "Colleen, don't. Just don't. I got the video. I saw everything. Him laughing at your bedside. Him kissing her. Him planning our life together while he's been." Her voice cracked into sobs. My blood went cold. "What do you mean?" "Dad's death. The doctor said it was a heart attack, but he'd been healthy." And then Max was suddenly so helpful, so caring, managing everything. She laughed bitterly. "God, I was so stupid. I don't even want to think about it." But then she said something that made my heart stop. There was life insurance. $2 million. Max said we needed it for investments. I signed everything over to him because I trusted him. Because I thought, another sob. "Check your son's bank accounts, Violet. Check what he did with my father's money. Check what he's been doing." She hung up. I looked at Maria, my hands shaking. "Get Gerald on the phone.
Now."
Within 2 hours, Gerald had the records. And what he found was devastating. Max hadn't just stolen from me. He'd been running a pattern for 5 years. Colleen's father wasn't the first. There was an elderly client at his firm, embezzlement charges that got quietly settled. A business partner's mother. Max had been her financial advisor and siphoned off $200,000 before anyone noticed. My son wasn't just greedy. He was a predator. And I'd almost become his final victim. But the real validation, the moment that made every painful second worth it, came at 9 p.m. that night. A knock on Maria's door. Max stood on the porch, his face haggard, his eyes red. He'd been crying. Actually crying. "Mom," he whispered when he saw me standing there alive. "Mom, you're alive." Disappointed, he collapsed. Right there on Maria's front steps, he crumpled like a puppet with cut strings, sobbing into his hands.
"I'm sorry."
"I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to me. I don't know when I became this person. Part of me, the part that had rocked him as a baby, that had believed in him for 60 years, wanted to forgive him, wanted to hold him and tell him it would be okay. But then I remembered his voice in that hospital room. Finally. In 3 days, the house and the money, all mine. I remembered him laughing beside what he thought was my corpse. I remembered Amanda holding my wedding ring up to the light. "The district attorney received the videos," I said quietly, "along with the financial records Gerald compiled. You're going to be arrested, Max. For embezzlement. For fraud. Possibly for what happened to Colleen's father if they investigate further." Mom, please. I'm not done. Colleen's filing for divorce and pressing charges. Your firm is launching an internal investigation. Every person you've stolen from has been contacted. I'll pay it all back. I'll make it right. Just please, tell them you made a mistake. Tell them. Tell them what, Max? That I'm not really dead? That I faked my own death to expose my son's sociopathic behavior. I stepped closer. Or should I tell them the truth? That you're exactly who these videos show you to be. He had no answer. Just more tears. 3 months later, I sat in my garden, in my house that Max would never touch, drinking tea with Maria. Max had pleaded guilty to multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, full restitution to all victims. Colleen had divorced him and moved back to Chicago with her share of whatever assets weren't seized. Amanda had disappeared the moment the police showed up. The coast house they'd planned? Sold to cover legal fees. My house, my money, my life, all still mine. For however long I had left. Miss Violet, Maria said, setting down her cup. I still can't believe you did all this while dying. I'm not dying anymore, I said with a smile. Turns out when you stop letting toxic people poison your life, your health improves. Dr. Mitchell says I might have a year. Maybe 2. Maria's eyes filled with tears. That's wonderful. But then I pulled out an envelope. The reward loop. The final gift. This is for you. The deed to the house. When I do die, and I will, eventually, this is yours. Truly yours. You've earned it. Maria tried to refuse, but I wouldn't let her.
She'd saved me.
Not just from Max, but from dying without dignity, without justice, without proving that love shouldn't make you weak. 2 weeks ago, a letter arrived. Not from Max, from Amanda. She's facing charges in another state for a similar scheme. Apparently, targeting wealthy people through their children is more common than I thought. The district attorney wants me to testify, to help put away others like Max and Amanda. People who prey on love and turn it into profit. I said yes, because I may be dying, but I'm not dead yet, and I have work to do. So, what do you think? Did Violet do the right thing? Would you have forgiven your child, or done the same thing she did? And what do you think Max is really feeling in that prison cell? Genuine remorse, or just regret that he got caught? If you've ever dealt with someone who saw you as a stepping stone rather than a person, know that you're not alone. And know that you deserve better. Subscribe for more stories about justice, betrayal, and the moment someone finally says enough. Because everyone has a breaking point, and everyone deserves to see it honored. And remember, the best inheritance you can leave behind isn't money. It's proof that you stood up for yourself when it mattered most.